Okay, thank you, Sergio. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share with us. Um, so, as you picked up maybe from the from the other cousins,
Mm-mm.
uh, it's the FVR Oral History Project, part of the legacy series of Lolo.
Yes.
But this time, the others were pictures, documents, official correspondences. This one naman, we've identified people, various timelines of his life,
Mm-hmm.
who've interacted, been part of it, and we try to elicit vignettes, diba?
Mm-hmm.
Insights into the man, his thinking, his character.
Yes.
So let me start out. Your relationship with FBR is?
I'm his grandson.
Mhm.
And we live together.
Okay.
I live with him after, siguro after, anong year na yan? 2011.
Oh,
Ever
okay.
since apa.
All right. And uh, you're Joe's
Yes.
kid, right? Okay. How old were you when FBR was president?
I was medyo... Kasi I was born 1994. It was in the middle of his presidency.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tapos, if I'm not mistaken, 1999 siya yung when he was out of office na, diba?
98.
So, yeah, 1998. So, I was pretty young pa rin eh. You know, 4 years old. And I don't remember much of it,
Oh,
to be
okay.
honest with you.
Okay.
I remember bits and pieces lang. Pero, yeah.
But really, yeah, because you were very
I was
young.
very, very young.
Okay. So to a 4-year-old, I guess he was just plain Lolo. Well, let me ask you now. When did you first realize that, Lolo was different from everyone else's Lolo?
That's kind of hard to pinpoint kasi parang growing up, you just kind of got used to the fact na wala, siya yan eh, na the whole presidency and the larger-than-life aspect that he brings and his charisma, that's just a part of who he is now, especially from the point where I started growing up onwards. But around the time where I, kind of got to realize how different he was and where I kind of got to appreciate, what he's done for a lot of Filipino people and how many lives he's touched, was around the time where I became his assistant. Because with us grandchildren, he likes to take us on to, like, any time he has a trip somewhere, and then we'll be his assistant, the one who holds his papers, who gets his books for him, with his coffee. And when it was my turn, I think this was about 3 years ago, siguro. It was
okay.
in the United States. He was going around, especially because his class in West Point was having a 50-year anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
So I was his secretary, so to speak, his right-hand man. And parang you get to see all different parts of the world, people from different parts of the world who kind of have grown to appreciate him. And especially when you are with him in different parts of the Philippines. There was another trip where it was me, my 2 other cousins, Kuya Patrick and Kuya CJ, where we were his assistants, and we went to Silliman University in Dumaguete. And that was another part of the Philippines I'd never experienced, and just seeing the amount of love that they have for him, it was very, very humbling and astounding.
At his age and that far away already from the
Yes, apa.
from his term.
Mga around 20 years na
Oh.
after.
Oh, talaga, like tell me how he was received. For example, at West Point. So these were classmates, I guess.
Yeah, well, at West Point, his classmates, they were all very interested. They were all very engaging. He received a room, like, in his honor. It was a very nice room, by the way. All the cadets, the Filipino cadets especially, were very kind of in awe. Na, wow, this guy came from our college, and then he became the president of the country where we're a part of. So seeing the cadets and his fellow classmates, it was interesting to see talaga eh.
And the distinguished
Yes,
alumni.
very, very distinguished alumni. And then in Silliman University
Okay.
naman, you know, they really treated him as a celebrity talaga eh. Even so much as the whole school had a parang talk with him na the entire auditorium was filled with all the students that was they were just
Wow.
listening to him make a speech. And you know, even up to now, like you said, this far away after his term has ended, he's still able to, you know, fill up an entire auditorium full of people just to listen to his words.
So andun pa rin talaga, no? The love.
Yes.
What's so everybody sees him, yung ano, former president, Ed's a hero.
Yes.
But to you, small band of apos, I mean, he's just plain simple Lolo.
Yes.
So what's Lolo like?
He's a very goofy guy, honestly. And parang him na you see out on TV, kasi alam mo naman, he has his different, how do I say it?
Personas.
Yeah, there are different personas that he puts on for different things, you know. And him naman behind the scenes, it's kind of the same, just toned down a lot more. Sure, he's a lot more introspective, a lot more quiet. Pero growing up, he was always goofy pa rin. He was always, you know...
Define goofy, Sergio.
Well, he'll make jokes pa rin, no matter how corny or whatever. Maski na during dinner, hanggang ngayon, he'll still make jokes. Like, he made this one joke with me and si Lola a few days ago lang, within this week na
Okay.
parang... I don't remember the details of the joke, basta let's say a person who is head of state has the honor though to fart or something. Parang ganon. And then he'll go, "Oy, hey guy, close your eyes. Close your eyes." Tapos he'll get his piece of paper, tapos he'll do like that. Tapos yun pala, okay. Okay, sige lolo. Yan, tawag dyan, head of state.
The privilege without explaining.
Yes. So hanggang ngayon, he's been goofy ever since. That's just a part of his character. Yeah, and he's always been, you know, very caring din naman about the sanctity of having family as a unit. You know, even if it's in the form of taking family photos or just family time, or always asking where's everyone when someone's missing from family lunch or family dinner. Oh, san si Jelly, san si Brian. Oh, this is what they're doing. Ah, okay.
Okay. And that's regular, no?
Yeah.
Sunday
Sunday lunch.
remains
Apo.
to this day, no?
Family time.
Oh. That's also maybe because in his earlier years, he was out in the field and, you know, public official, you know. So is he trying to catch up? Or is with family time? Or
Always, yeah, and we're always trying to catch up with him. Kasi he's always in the office. He used to play a lot of golf, so he had a very, di naman strict, pero he had his own schedule then. And then we would just get to see him mostly on Sundays, and anytime that there was a book launch or there was a trip or something like that.
But Sundays are sacred.
Yes. Always have been.
How do you refer to him? Is there a pet name you
Si
have?
Lolo. Lolo lang.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Lolo Eddie, which was his name pretty much ever since growing up. So we don't call him, "Oy, Mr. President" or "Sir Fidel." No, we just go, "Oy, Lolo."
Yeah, of course. That is apo nga eh, di ba? But does he have a pet name for you guys? For you?
Not really, no.
Not really.
I don't. No, I didn't.
None?
To my memory, no, I don't think so. Not to us individually, at least. It's just him saying our names in his very distinct accent and way of speaking. Sergio, like that.
Oh no. Tell me the role he played in your upbringing. But you stay with him.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, like I said, I wasn't able to spend as much time with him like when I was younger. I was living with my mom pa rin. And after 2011 was when I started living with him. That's kind of where I started to understand, who he was more as a person, what were the things that make him tick. And that's kind of where, growing up, I got to understand, certain facets of adulthood, maturity. And, growing up also seeing him interact with different people, seeing the type of charisma that he brings, seeing what can I pick and choose from there, and just seeing all the different things that kind of made him made him who he is, and somehow made him still down to earth, without that arrogant sting that some people still have, when they're charismatic. And yeah, Lolo has always been like this very, very lovable person ever since. And that's something, that I strive towards, and he's definitely a good role model for that.
Oh, that's nice. Lovable, likable. What about huggable?
Yes, Apa. He's very huggable po.
Talaga.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Lolo.
Apa, every now and then po.
And does he do the same? Does he do the same thing? I mean, put a hand over your shoulders.
In his own way. In his own way. He won't do it directly, but he'll do certain things that are his ways of showing affection.
Talaga? Which
Yes.
one? Like.
So for me, because I just moved back from the United States, and the last time I was home was about a year and a half ago. On the last day that I left, tagal na, di ba? On the last day before I left, we were having breakfast. Di pa gising si Lola. And usually in the dining room table, there's him, tapos si Lola, tapos si me. And then we were just eating. Tapos he said, "Wait, no, guy, sit here." Yung katabi niya. And to me, I'm taking that as a way of him showing his affection in his own quiet way. Na parang, I just want to be closer to you.
Yeah.
Parang ganon.
Well, it's going to be quite a while before he would see you.
Yes.
That's very nice. It's very soft.
Yes, very subtle.
Side of him. What about your growing up? I asked the same thing of the elder Apos. I mean, did he step in? Did he intervene? Do's and don'ts? May mga ganun ba?
Not really, no. Kasi, like, growing up, well, in my case, anyway, I can't speak for my other cousins, but in my case, he just left my mom to do whatever she wanted, whatever she needed. And then he would just see me, every week, every Sunday. And then he would just, over time, see us grow, take a lot of photos, always give us photos, his press clippings, update us on what he's doing. We'd ask him, "Oy, Lolo, what have you been doing? We saw that you met with so-and-so. How was that?" So, mga ganon lang.
Oh yeah, tell me about that. When you see him meeting with, some important or high-ranking fellow, how you kid him about it, or do you try to draw insight from the meeting?
A little bit. Yeah, it depends then. Like, we'll ask, what was the meeting about? What did you talk about? And then we'll, kind of get more on the nitty-gritty things. Like, for example, my other cousins who are, political science majors, or those who have more insight in the political field, they'll ask him a bit more in-depth questions on, like, "Oh, what did you talk about?" "Oh, you talked about the development of so-and-so." Sige, tapos then they'll have a conversation about it.
What's your professional background, Sergio?
I'm a professional musician.
Oh, like you took from him, you took from your mom.
Yes.
Okay. Did FVR Lolo step in? What are you gonna take? What studies? I mean, you go to this school, that kind of thing.
No, he's always been very, very supportive, no matter what. So whatever I wanted to do, he said, okay, go, you do it. Sige lang.
Talaga. But do it well.
Yes.
May ganun ba siya?
Di naman. Di naman, oh, sige, you do it. Pero kailangan ganito. No, he was never ever strict like that. It was always just, sige, basta galingan mo. Like, do whatever you want to do in this life and in your heart. As long as you just do it well.
Tell me how he related to Joe, your mom. What was he like as a parent?
As a parent?
You've been talking to me about him as a grandparent. Now,
Yes. Well, I've heard a lot of interesting things, especially during the childhood, of the 5 sisters and of my mom. Never really wanted to speak to my mom. Never interested me, I will say, about that when I was younger. And most of the stories that I've heard have been through my other titas.
Okay.
But I could see naman na, my parents really, really loved my mom. They said that she was very, very malambing. And that was one of the things that they really appreciated about her.
Okay.
And she was very thoughtful and very caring, especially towards them and their needs. And her, in her own way, showing na she loved them, especially using her talents to show that she loved them. So what she used to do was she started this yearly tradition na parang she would put together this video compilation of all of our home movies and call them the Ramos Family Home Bloopers.
Ay, oo nga.
Yeah, and then she would show that as her Christmas gift to my lola and my lola and to the rest of the family then. And that lasted a few years. So that was a labor of love then, coming from my mom.
But that must have been a lot of fun as well. I mean, watching the yearly blooper.
Yes, it's a lot of fun, pero it was a lot of work then.
Yeah,
I didn't have a handle in it because I was too young, pero I saw how hard my mom worked kasi kasama ko siya sa video editing studio. So
Did your parents explain to you, I mean, that Lolo was no ordinary person? Or was that something?
parang not really. Like I said, parang growing up, it was just something it was just there ever since I was born. So that's just been my experience ever since. And over time, you just kind of see for yourself and you grow to appreciate who he is and what he's accomplished in his life in a relatively short span of time, but in no short amount of time either. He's definitely done an incredible amount for one person. And
What stands out among his accomplishments that you've realized?
well, seeing and hearing like his humble beginnings, and then just through hard work and sheer determination, na he did what he wanted. And especially around the time that historically war was going on, joining the military, becoming a 4-star general, and then eventually becoming the president of a country, and then saving a country from economic collapse during his own presidency. So that to me definitely stands out a lot. And then the one thing that I hear a lot of people tell me about my lola is na he was the president that turned our lights on. Wala nang brownout.
Oh yeah.
That's the one that I hear a lot. So I would say just seeing what he was able to do during his presidency, and also hearing the other things then na parang a lot of people wanted him to run again, pero he said no, my time is done. My term is done, and it's time for somebody else. So yeah, there's that.
That he knew how to give way.
Yes.
That what. You mentioned that you spent time as his assistant. You still do that stuff now for him, or
not as much anymore. It's parang it's more of like a one-time
Rotation.
thing. Yeah, for every grandchild. There's one big thing that happens, one major trip, and then that's it. Then it's the next grandchild.
Tama, rotation nga. Kung sino yung nakatokang sunod.
Yes.
No? Yeah, I got that from the from your other cousins. But tell me, what's it like backstaffing him?
Backstaffing him. Well, I'll say I had an easier time than my other cousins. Pero it's ano eh. Wala, you just have to be focused. You have to be very attentive lang. Na you you have a certain amount of materials na that he'll ask you to carry. His papers, his books, certain books that he signed for certain people. And then when he finally meets those people, he'll go, "Hey, Sergio, yung book tapos isang press clipping plus something else." Tapos you have to go, "Sige, wait lang, sir. Ito po, sir." And then give it to him. Tapos just hang back, let him do his thing again.
Yeah.
So it's just caring to his needs or seeing what he needs in that moment. So, for example, if he looks like he'll need water, or if he's been talking with a lot of people during lunch but he hasn't eaten, then you have to be the one to be like, "Sir, ito po, something small na you can make pika-pika para there's something that he's eating."
Yeah.
You know, so just attending to his needs and staying focused.
You do realize that earlier part of Lolo's life, the people who did that for him were people who had ranks. No? These aide-de-camps, no? Captains, majors, eventually went all the way up with stars on their shoulders. And you, how does that, ano?
How does that make me feel?
Yeah.
Kind of honored, actually. Yeah, it makes me feel honored. I consider myself just a regular person, you know, and even though I'm related to him, it's a humbling feeling, you know. Like I don't feel, what's the word, privileged in any way. At least that's how I'm brought up. But I definitely feel very blessed and humbled na to have someone as great as Lolo, as my Lolo, and growing up with him.
Now, those assistants have some memories as well of how strict he was and how they would get bawled out for.
Yes.
I mean, you know, did you get that too?
I did not, and that's why I say na my experience wasn't as, my experience was more pleasurable than my cousins, I will say.
You had a better tour of duty.
Yes, I did.
than the older cousins. Because, sino ba na ganun nun? I think it was Patrick.
Yeah, si Patrick has stories.
Who?
Yes.
Okay. Pressure to do well in school or to be good, better among your peers. Was that something you felt?
Not really, no. But we were always just reminded as kids na parang whatever happens to you or whatever you do is also a reflection on Lolo. So that's one thing that we've always had to grow up and keep in mind, you know. So like there's no pressure on us to be the best in class or whatever, but there's pressure on us to not get publicly humiliated and expelled. Parang ganon. You know, because then it'll look bad on Lolo. And that's something that we're always trying to protect. And that's something that we love and appreciate his legacy and respect his legacy. So why do something to tarnish that?
But you know, it's not just him, ano? I mean, do you also realize that great-grandfather, diba? Narciso,
Opo.
diba? Also had quite a legacy of his own.
Opo. Yeah. So it's up to us to protect that then by, you know, being upstanding, respectful people and citizens, which we're all brought up to be. Din naman eh. We're all brought up well.
What's the general reaction? What's the general reaction you get when people realize, Apo, diba? Your grandfather is FVR, and then they start asking you, well, how do you react to that?
There's no hiding it. Like, if someone recognizes it na, oh, apo ka pala ni President, blah, 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 blah. What more can you say than, apo, yes, yun lang. And then, typically, people will start talking amongst themselves na, oh, I remember back in the day, former President, blah, 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 blah. Tapos, you just, just let them talk, and then you chime in whenever appropriate. And then, eventually, conversation will naturally flow out of it.
After.
Yeah.
How do you feel
About which one?
that when they start talking? Oh, Lolo was like this, Lolo was. I remember, that one. When they start sharing their own insights, their own experiences of FVR.
Well, when I was younger, definitely, parang I was like, well, I'm more than just the apo, But nowadays, seeing his legacy and kind of realizing what he's done, parang it's somewhat a badge of honor at this point in time, because I would consider Lolo to be a legend now of the Philippines, and the fact that we're directly related. I think that's something to be very proud of.
Lolo ko yan. that kind of thing. My next question.
Yes.
Well, you can answer or not, but it's trying to get a softer side again of FBR. How does he take to tragedy?
The tragedy?
Yeah.
Well,
And I'm referring to
the passing
your
of my
mom.
mom. Well, like I said, he shows his love and he shows his affection in his own way. It took us a little bit to realize that. Seeing how he's sometimes stubborn, and we're all stubborn.
Sometimes. No, he's not sometimes. He's always stubborn.
And that's one of the traits that all of us have, from si Lolo. Pero, looking back, some of the things na he did, like one of the things that I noticed definitely was that he really buried himself in his work. Na around that time, talagang his way of grieving, the way I see it, his way of grieving was definitely burying himself in his work. And just showing pride for what my mom was able to do, whatever video thing that she did.
Yes.
He collected it, and he would give it to everybody else during the during Sunday lunch. So I would consider that his way of grieving, and we all grieve very differently.
So it affected him, no?
Yeah.
It affected parent, no?
Yeah, direct parent. So
And how did he take to you
how did he take to me? So
during that time?
Yeah. Well, also around that time, because that was when I started living with my grandparents. Was after the passing of my mom. And while they were grieving, I guess me being a permanent member of the household kind of was a pleasant distraction of some sorts, especially one of their grandchildren. Maybe they haven't seen as much, while he was growing up. So I guess it was a pleasant way of them to finally give something to a little piece of joy that they kind of missed out on or wish that they had.
Yeah, you were mostly based overseas, no?
No, I was still living
or-
with my mom. I lived with my mom up until that time, until I was 17. Because I was still in high school there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. You've said it's not really much, but does being an FBR apo, is it a leg up, or is it some burden? I mean, having to live up maybe to expectations,
Mhm.
not necessarily of Lolo FVR, but yun nga, no, when people see you and they recognize, apo ito. I mean, given everything that he's,
Yes.
I mean, it's, he's done it, but yun nga, no, he just didn't do it, but he did it pretty well. No? So, leg up or a burden.
Well, the way I see it in life, everything has its share of pros and cons.
Okay.
And this is no exception. So there are definitely things that are benefits, but then with those benefits comes a certain cost, a certain amount of sacrifice. Na we just can't get rid of. It's just something that we have to live with. But with regards to something that we have to live up to, that's I would consider that a manner of attitude and like how we view that. So for me particularly, I don't feel as if I'm burdened to live up to what he did. Instead, the way I see it is that my Lolo was able to accomplish a lot in his life. He was able to make his mark on the world. So in my way, in my industry, I want to make a mark as well. Because if he can do it, so can I. But then there are also times, like when I was in West Point, when I was assisting Lola, na parang he would introduce me, like when I would give his books or his pen or whatever, and then he would introduce me to whoever he's talking to. Tapos they would say, no, are you going to be just like your grandfather, be a president again?
Politician as well.
Or a politician, and then there I have to say, no, I'm a professional musician. It's kind of the complete opposite on the spectrum. And then seeing their reactions, parang, it's not what I expected. But you get used to it lang, and I take great pride in what I do.
So is being an FBR apo generally easier or not?
Well, like I said, it has its pros and its cons.
Okay. Okay. What's a most do you have a most memorable moment with Lolo? Tucked away.
Yes, I do. So it was the last time that he was in the United States. Him and my Lola had just flown in for my graduation from college at Berklee College of Music, and that meant a lot to me, kasi especially at their age, na they flew halfway across the world just for me. And then when we were having lunch after the graduation ceremony, I was drinking a glass of wine with my Lola. Right, I was seated next to him at the table. Tapos I said, "Hey, Lola, thank you very much for flying all this way and for realizing my dream and my mom's dream of me to for formal education as a musician in something that I'm passionate about." And then he just looked at me, patted me on the back, and said, "Hey, guy, you've earned it." And that's something that, that's a very, very touching memory that I have.
Terrific. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
What do you want people to know about him or to remember him by?
What do I want?
What do you share with people most about FBR, the Lolo?
The Lolo.
Because they all look at him as, the former president. Generally, that's it.
Yes.
Because they do not have the opportunity to, stay with him, see him every day, So, what do you want people to remember of him? Or what?
Well, people might already know, but just to hammer down the point, he really does appreciate family, and he really does, want to, keep us together and spend as much time with us as possible. And it's always a pleasant surprise when one of us pops into the office, or when one of us surprises him. Like there was last Christmas. I wasn't there last Christmas, but one of my other cousins who's based in the U.S., she hid in a box that said "Happy Birthday" or "Merry Christmas, Lola," and then she popped out of the box, and I heard that he greatly, greatly appreciated that.
Wow. May ano na ba? May plans of getting married or
Wala pa.
Wala pa. Okay. Okay. So, looking into the future, when you do have kids, if, di ba, what would you want them to know of Lolo?
Well, just I guess first to help them understand na hard work can get you really really far, and to also aim high then. Kasi Lolo aimed high and he just kept going and going and going from cadet, four-star general, and then eventually president of an entire country. And then not only president, but saving the country. And, making Time Magazine, Newsweek, and just an internationally recognized name. There's Filipinos all over the world that know exactly who he is. So, I would say definitely that na parang, hard work and focus can get you very, very far.
Okay. I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.